So Great Barrier Reef is the biggest, but the reefs here have much more life.
We do not believe that there is an area of higher diversity anywhere in the oceans.
It's so diverse, these scientists say there's a whole new world to discover. Ecosystems that have existed for centuries, but until now have been unknown to man. The Philippines' Verde Island Passage is in what's known as the Coral Triangle, an area that scientists say is the heart of marine life.
This area here is called the Devil's Point. It's part of the Verde Island Passage, which is believed to be the center of marine biodiversity. Now, these are hardly untouched waters. There's a thriving fishing community around here. There's also a lot of diving resorts. But scientists from the California Academy of Sciences are going deep into some 250 feet of what are literally uncharted waters.
One by one, they vanish deep into the ocean, to depths no man has ever been, where sunlight starts to dissipate. They're calling it the Twilight Zone. Most divers go down to a depth not exceeding 100 feet or about 30 meters, but these divers go as much as 4 times deeper. And since there are only a handful of them who are qualified to dive this deep down in the ocean, they have to multitask, lighting each other's paths while swimming, collecting specimens, and on top of it all, documenting the expedition. Diving into such great depths, however, isn't for the faint-hearted. It's a skill that requires a lot of training, especially with the equipment involved.
It's highly specialized. It is definitely a bit riskier and requires much more technical equipment, the ability to stay in the water for a long time.
Show me the equipment.
Yeah, absolutely.
This looks really complicated to me.
We can run through the equipment.
Okay, all right.
It's definitely, I would say, high-tech compared to normal scuba. It's called a closed-circuit rebreather. With regular scuba, you breathe in, you breathe out, the bubbles go back into the water column, right? But with a rebreather, we actually are breathing in a constant loop.
Okay.
And what we're using is CO2 absorbent, which is right down here.
And of course, knowing what to collect requires scientific knowledge acquired from years of study and research. After almost 4 hours, they emerge.
Yeah, epic dive. Yeah.
Oh. You big fish. Beautiful sight. Different today? It was just really clear today. The water was super clear.
Oh. We found this new site.
It's a new site?
Yeah, completely new. No one's ever been there before.
To do the whole genome.
And from that new site, possibly some newly discovered species of fish, coral, and various other organisms.
Do you get questions about why you're taking all these fish away, out of the ocean and all the living creatures out of the ocean?
Yeah, if you don't know which species are in a reef, it's very hard to make the case to protect that reef. So we need to know in very specific detail how many species are there, which ones are unique, which ones are only in the Philippines, which ones are in the Coral Triangle, which ones are widespread, South Pacific.
By the time we finished, it was almost dark, but these scientists were nowhere close to being done with their work. From the sea to this makeshift laboratory and under the microscope, these organisms are analyzed from their physical features down to their DNA.
Wow.
And with every new discovery, further proof that the Verde Island Passage holds the world's most diverse marine ecosystem.
I guess the question for a layperson is, so what? Well, it means that we can then effectively manage that area because people are still fishing at those depths, but we don't even know what's there. We don't know how to effectively manage it. We don't know how rare some species are. So we can't develop a plan of how to effectively take a little bit and keep it done sustainably until we understand how that system works and who are the cast of characters. It's like you can't even understand the play until you know who the characters are.
Terry Gosliner heads the expedition.
The odds are good.
For more than 2 decades now, he studied marine life in this region of the Philippines. His research and that of his teams has helped establish marine protected areas.
When I first came here 20 years ago, there was blast fishing going on, dynamiting, and it is so much more effectively managed, and that's really a compliment to the local communities, the groups of people that really have set aside marine protected areas. They've regulated what goes on here, and it's in better shape than it was 20 years ago. And there are not many places where you can say that's true of the marine environments where people live.
A fine example of which is Manila, a city of 11 million. Slum communities line its waterways. The waterways are filled with garbage that flows into the bay.
Well, the Philippines is surrounded by water, the South China Sea in the west and the Pacific Ocean in the east. And this is the famous Manila Bay, best known for its picture-perfect golden sunset. But in recent years, it's also been getting a reputation for something else. See, all this trash coming from the city, trash that's been accumulating over the years and that's turned these waters toxic and black.
Even worse, they're being swept all the way to islands more than 100 kilometers away. Trash piles up here at such huge volumes that occasional cleanup drives hardly do anything to solve the problem.
You're not shocked what you see.
Sadly, no, I'm not shocked. But it makes me really sad. It's almost like I hear the ocean crying because all of this stuff, it's all our fault. And this styrofoam, it will never, ever break down.
And yet, Terry and his team of researchers keep coming back.
We can't save everything, and so we have to make choices, and those choices hopefully can be based on scientific data, so it's not just random.
I think the needs of the future are going to drive us to come up with successful ways to solve these problems.
The war is making sure that I at least leave a planet for my kids that's at least as good as what I had. And hopefully, for their kids and the generations beyond, we need to have a healthy planet. Our life depends on it.
And that, ultimately, is why they ventured to the unknown, unlocking the mysteries of the Twilight Zone and beyond.